What's happening, guys? Fall is here. There's some awesome baits in this month's box. We're going to talk about the fall transition, some baits you should be throwing, including this one and this video. Let's go. All right, guys, the Monsterbass box is loaded this month in the Regional Pro South region to help you catch fish in the fall transition. But first, let's talk about what the fall transition is. We'll talk about one of the baits that's in there, and I'm also going to show you what's on my deck that I actually went out yesterday and caught fish with. So first of all, let's talk about the fall transition. What does that mean? It means that the bass are transitioning from the deeper water in the summer to move more up shallow, but they're not all the way there yet. They're in that transition, just as it sounds, the fall transition. What causes that is as the water temperatures get cooler, bait fish move more shallow, so shad as the main type of bait fish, at least here in Texas. As it moves shallow, the bass are going to follow. Now, on their way in the transition, they're going to stop at different places such as docks, creek channels. So they're not quite all the way there yet, but they're getting there. Good news, they're getting there. So in the meantime, you've got the transition. So this month's box was packed full of baits for the fall transition, and even into winter. And one that I want to highlight is the Lucky Shad by Strike King. Now keep in mind, bass are chasing bait that are this size or smaller. So that's 3 inches in size. And you'll notice a very slender profile and a very slender bill. What this causes is a very tight wobble action. So normally your square bill is going to be really wide and erratic action. This is going to be a very tight action to mimic smaller prey and smaller bait fish. This bait dives anywhere between 7 to 8 feet. I've been throwing mine on probably about 14-pound fluorocarbon, so it doesn't get down all the way to 8 feet. You can even throw it on 17-pound fluorocarbon and it will go a little bit shallower, maybe 5 to 6 feet. You can also add weight strips to the bottom because this bait will float or come back up. So much like a normal crankbait, if you're digging it into structure cover and you hit something and stop, it will float back up. However, if you add a weight strip right here, it'll cause this bait to suspend. But because of its size, its profile, its awesome color, and its tight action, it's a lure that you're gonna wanna tie on for the fall transition because it does go down to 8 feet, but then keep tied on all the way through the winter because in those colder months that are coming, this is gonna be a great bait to help you catch some fish. All right, before we wrap up this video, I wanna show you what I have tied on the lines on my deck right now just to show you what I've been catching them on. So let's run through that real quick. Even though it's the fall transition, I'm still having a frog tied on. Now this is the Blitz Lure Frog, a shad color that came back in the April box, but it's a great presentation to still throw up shallow in those early mornings to get those bites. I also have tied on a really cool looking chatterbait. Now this is a Thunder Cricket that came in a previous box along with kind of a shad color tail. A little bit darker water, but that's sure to draw some bites up shallow. And also, yes, this is a huge shaky head, but that is basically an 8.5-inch shaky head worm for some of those deeper water presentations, also in darker color. All right, so over on this side, one thing that I've really thrown a lot of this year is a swim jig. You'll see this is a little bit more of a natural color, kind of a shad presentation in white with a smaller paddle tail. Also, for the early morning bites, I would highly suggest a spook or topwater walking bait. This is the Hedon Spook Jr. Came in a Monsterbass box a few months ago. Probably one of my all-time favorites is going to be a paddle tail swim bait on that underspin. This is such a great presentation. That small willow blade on the end, along with the paddle tail, just looks like bait fish when you put the two together. Looks almost like a little school of them. I would highly recommend a clear color. You can also throw a spinnerbait with small willow blades as well. I would probably highly recommend those right now. Around cover and timber, I'm still throwing a big Texas rig worm. This is the Blitz Lures. The Blitz Worm by Egg Zone Lures. Came in a box a couple months ago, but it stands up and floats. That's a shad color. But any type of red, purple, plum, all those colors work really well right now. And then last, in shallower water, I'm gonna throw a smaller shaky head. So you'll see more of a natural color worm there. I'm gonna throw that around some docks or up in shallow water, just because it's a little bit lighter weight and a little bit more of a finesse presentation. One other one that I don't have tied on right now that I would also throw is obviously that Lucky Shad. I didn't tie it on just for the sake of holding it in this video. I've got my crankbait rod in the box, and then also I would potentially have tied on a big umbrella rig or an A-rig with some small willow blades and paddle tussle mates on there. You're gonna crush them in the fall with an umbrella rig. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this video of Monster Bass. The Regional Pro Box for September was loaded with baits to help you in the fall transition. Make sure you're subscribed to the Better Box. Also, man, great job, Monster Bass, picking out the Lucky Shad by Strike King. That awesome little presentation. Make sure you have this bait tied on. Keep it tied on for the fall and the winter. Such a great presentation and a great pick in this month's box. All right, guys, that's it. Jeremy with Fishing The Lonestar. Make sure you subscribe right here to the Monster Bass channel for more videos like this with great tips and techniques coming your way. Also, hop over to my channel and give me a subscribe there. All right, guys, Monster Bass, go catch one.